Hello, John from John's Locks. Now, I happen to know why your name is spelled Jon instead of John. Both pronounced John. The version without the H, it means you have no hair. A Jon told me that joke, and he was balding. But congratulations on 100 plus subs. I think you're up to 144 when I looked a few minutes ago. So congratulations, and we're going to do our entry now. Okay, thank you, Polar Bear. Yeah, before we get into this brand new Hypertough from Walmart keyed entry deadbolt with the oil rub bronze finish, let me give you a little life hack. If you're on medication, especially if you have a chronic condition and are on multiple medications, you need to have a list that's easily available. Actually, I would make several copies of it. Put one in your wallet or your purse. Put one on your refrigerator. And maybe even give one to a trusted neighbor or friend. Because if you have to call for an ambulance, a lot of people will just have their medication in a baggie and hand it over to the EMT and say, here. And that's not a good idea because medications are expensive. And if it gets lost or stolen, they're not responsible. So have that list available in case you have to call the EMS. Okay. There's the box opened, and I got that all in one bag. The last time I bought a deadbolt from Walmart, those were in two separate bags. So we've got a 5-penner here. Yeah, really cheap construction. And probably what I'll end up doing with these Hypertough locks after I've had them for a while is donate them to Restore through Habitat for Humanity, so I can take the tax deduction off of it. But yeah, I was an EMT for 8 years, from 1985 to 1993. So it's been quite a while since I've been one, but had a blast doing it. Got to deliver a baby once. Did CPR, was on multiple accidents, including fatal ones. Fortunately, most auto accidents are minor injuries or no injuries at all, thank God. But yeah, delivering the baby was definitely the high point of my EMS career, both volunteer and paid. But yeah, I'd only been with that volunteer service for, less than a month. So I was still a fairly new EMT at the time. I'd spent like 3 months working for a private service and got fired from there. But they pretty much fired everybody from that service eventually. That boss was a jerk. But so anyway, it's early in the morning. I think it was, I don't even know if it was a weekday or a weekend now. But it was probably about 6 in the morning during the summer. And call comes out for an OB, active delivery, or active labor. And we get to the house, and it's a poor family. Reposition myself here. And Mom's a young woman, fairly skinny except for her obviously pregnant condition. So I started asking her all of the usual questions, how far along is your pregnancy, how far apart are your contractions, how long have you been in labor, and every question was met with, I don't know. And this is in a rather, it was more like, I don't know. I'm going, oh, carp. So, I decided to take her out into the ambulance, get her pants and her panties off, and she's crowning, which means the baby's head is protruding from the birth canal. And it's not just, you can't see just a little bit of it. It's delivery time. And so about 5 minutes up the road, out comes the head. Thank God, had an extra person with me who was in the EMT school. She and her husband had been driving for our service for, maybe 6 months at that time. And they were both in EMT school themselves at that time. And so she had the presence of mind to write down the time of the delivery. So anyway, the head comes out, and I'm, going through the lecture from class about how to suction and, how to turn the baby's head and all that. And anyway, the head pops out, and before I can hold the baby's head to start turning it, out pops the rest of the baby. I mean, it was boom, boom. Yeah, I didn't know this at the time until the gal I was with told me later on. There was no change of expression. She was not feeling any pain. So get to the hospital. I decided not to clamp off the cord because we were told that the cord would clot off naturally, and I think it was a pretty good decision because the baby ended up having several health issues, which I did not find out about till probably a month or so later, when the chief said, gotten a call about from the pediatrician complaining about the delivery. Well, now, the chief of our volunteer service is one of those people that, talks everybody up, and he pretty much knows everything going on in that town, even though he wasn't from it. So, John says, Dr. So-and-so, are you aware of this baby's parentage? And apparently, the girl was the product of, I think, first cousins marrying, and her the father was most likely either her brother's or her father's. And I guess you could hear the doctor's chin hit the floor. And then he went on to explain how that caused each of the conditions that the baby had. So, fortunately, he made a full recovery, and we'd see the mom and the grandmother pushing the baby around town. Usually they'd go down to the village pantry, and got to deliver a baby, and I think that is still one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. Actually, I'm surprised I don't have this open yet. Let's see. Let me tell another EMS story. It was a very, very rainy, thunder, lightning, raining cats and dogs type of morning. And the rain had stopped maybe half hour before we got this call, so things were still wet out, but get a call for an auto accident out at on the interstate. So we get there, and my instructor from EMT school was a paramedic, and he was also a reserve deputy sheriff, and he was on sheriff duty that day. And so anyway, yeah, we get to the accident, and first thing we noticed was this station wagon, and it had been flattened. Now, this is about 86, 87, and station wagons were still, big beefy cars, nice and heavy still. And from the driver's window, you could see, a pink shirt or jacket, and you knew this was a fatal accident. So anyway, got instructed to go help the one victim that could be helped at that time. What happened was, this station wagon was traveling southbound on I-69 towards Indianapolis. Behind her was a semi, and coming from the northbound direction was another semi. And I don't remember now if he fell asleep or what, but yeah, he did. Anyway, he no, I cannot remember now if he fell asleep or not, but anyway, he had some minor injuries, so we took him on into the hospital, turned right around and went back out to the accident scene, and by this time, oh, yeah, I keep getting sidetracked here, but yeah, northbound driver crossed the interstate, and yeah, basically, this station wagon got flattened by two semis. And so we took the driver to the hospital, and like I said, he had some minor injuries, but he was basically walking and talking, and so yeah, we get back to the accident scene, and the service from the next town and next county over, we were right on the border from each other at the county line. One of their EMTs is just freaking. Yeah, as you can imagine, it wasn't a pretty sight in the station wagon. So then we did more transport duty. I'm not going to say how many victims there were, whether it was one or a dozen, but yeah, it was pretty bad. Well, didn't find out until, actually we found out fairly quickly. The victims in the accident, victim or victims, were known to the EMS and fire department because at least one of them, or all of them, or yeah, was related to our township trustee. So yeah, real tough time for everybody. Yeah, I cannot believe I don't have this lock open yet. And then there were the fun times. We had a pretty busy day that day, and this had to have been a weekend, and we all chipped in and had made some dinner. Pork chops. I don't remember what else we made, but the pork chops is the important part of the story. So we get called out again, and you know, we're all hungry. I mean, we haven't eaten all day, and John, he grabs a pork chop. He eats it in the ambulance on the way to the scene and tosses the bone out the window. Yeah, I wish we had followed the same thing he did, because yeah, it was another couple hours before we got back to the station. Yeah, it was one of those accidents that lady ended up having a cracked vertebrae, and she was in the back seat, and so, you know, everything we did hurt her. Not intentionally, of course, but yeah, fortunately we had put her in a, what's called can't remember the exact, it's KD, but it's basically a flexible short backboard that goes from the waist and wraps around the head. It's got slats in it, much more comfortable than a rigid short board. But yeah, my first job in EMS was at a company called MedTech in Muncie, Indiana. And, well, I'm glad I learned a lot working there. The boss was a jerk. And that's putting it quite mildly. He had turned 18, graduated high school, and didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. And so he wanted to become an EMT. So Daddy, who worked at Chrysler and put his, invested his money well, set him up with an ambulance service. And, he knew the rules and regulations, and, because he would like to keep Medicare and Medicaid happy, because that's where 90% of his money came from, if not all of it. But I had actually flunked out the first time I was in EMT school, because the two instructors had very, very high standards. And so anyway, a gentleman in the class before me was working there, as was another gal from that class. Anyway, the gentleman, who was an ex-Marine, finally got a job with the county service after about 6 months, and so he turned in his 2 weeks notice. And the day before his 2 weeks notice was to expire, he stopped in the office because the company gave us a very small, Christmas check. I think mine was $20. And the boss fired him, so he couldn't say he quit. And he laughed at that and went on his merry way, because he was going to be earning twice the money, have great benefits, etc., ad nauseum. Man, we're at 20 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try raking this lock. We'll try the city rake first. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's try the Bogaton next. There, we got it, finally. After all of that. Took you long enough, I'm ready for my sucker! Yeah, let's get out the key, Polar Bear, because you haven't actually won a sucker in a while. You've just been getting them for freebie because I like you. Don't everybody like me? Actually, Polar Bear, a lot of people do like you. Okay. Okay, here's the bidding on the key. That should have been a much easier pick than that. I'll bet I was oversetting that one right there. Okay. Oops, let's lock it back up. Yeah, I want to get my sucker.